Easy, huh?
Yeah, it just shows longevity, I
Yeah,
suppose,
and I've
and
been doing this thing for what, 10 years now? Man, I've been doing this thing a long time. Sports World Radio. So
I
hey,
mean,
yeah. So we got a great following, a lot of people hanging out with us today. Glad you all could be with us. They say we get right into it. I was actually quizzing. Well, not quizzing, but I was asking a lot of questions of Kenny, and I said, you know what? I'm just gonna wait till we get onto the show. So what do you say we get going, Kenny? I was asking him um, if he watched the Charger game last night because it started at 8:30 here and it started at 11:30 over there on the East Coast. And I was just saying to him, how weird was it watching a football game last night that started at 11:30 at night on the East Coast? How weird was that, Kenny?
it is definitely an odd situation, but considering here we are in week 5, but usually if you notice in the NFL and ESPN, they be doing this like the first Monday of every of the a regular season. There's a doubleheader, and the second game usually is right around that 11:30 time frame, if you will. That's mostly involved West Coast teams. Baseball, MLB, they do this all the time. MLB does it. Uh,
MLB does it all the time.
they do it all the
Yeah, all the
time.
time.
NBA does it as well, but
Mm-hmm.
it does not happen often with the NFL unless it's the first Monday
In fact, it happened.
of
It happened this year in Major League Baseball playoffs.
yeah. So it's it's here we in week 5, and to have a game.
Did you watch the whole game?
Yes, I actually did. I
So you were up until 2:30 in the morning watching the game?
Yes, I was,
Wow.
and it was good timing because I got back home at Andrew's house.
Yeah.
The
Well,
pay
you know
per
what?
view
We'll
in
talk about that in the last 15 minutes of the show.
Yeah, I got back from Andrew's house. It was like a 35 minute drive from here, from Frankfurt to Lexington.
Mm-hmm.
The pay per view ended about 10:50 Eastern
Yeah.
Standard Time, and
Yeah.
I pretty much got home around 11:30,
Right
11:35,
as the game was starting.
just around the game starts. And I say, why not? There's nothing else. Usually I watch Sports Center after the Sunday night game, but I say, hell, I ain't got nothing else
So
to
you
do.
didn't even watch the San Francisco 40. You didn't even watch the 49er game, did you?
No, I didn't get to watch that
I
particular
didn't watch
game.
it neither. I didn't
So,
watch it neither. I was too
but
busy watching what you were watching. We'll talk about that in the last 15 minutes of the show.
all
Because I
right.
want to talk about that. Because you and I are both fans of WWE. And there was a pay per view last night. And it is kind of sports entertainment. And Kenny C and I are both fans of it. You people listening to the show, you'll just have to deal with it. But it was weird for me because it was an 8:30 game, and I'm sitting here. I didn't really watch the game at all. I don't remember what the hell I was watching, to tell you the truth. I didn't watch baseball. I watched baseball all day. I watched a lot of golf because they had the President's Cup over the weekend, which was perfect for me because it was in Ohio, and they had a lot of rain over there, so they had a lot of rain delays. So they had to start really early in the morning every day. So they were starting at 7 o'clock in the morning, Eastern Coast time, and it was 4 o'clock in the morning my time, and they were putting it on the TV. So I was watching it. I was up. I was watching it, so I didn't sleep a lot over the weekend, to tell you the truth. On
You know
Saturday,
what?
on Saturday, I got about 2.5 hours of sleep, and that was it. I
Now,
was up watching
obviously, the
golf,
reason that the game was moved to 11:30, eleven
and it was and
thirty-five
it
was
was wrong.
because of the MLB
Right, playoffs,
postseason between Oakland A's versus Detroit Tigers,
correct. But it was
and
wrong. But it was the wrong thing to do. What they should
it
have done was flip the home games.
and it was originally supposed to be at the 4 o'clock time slot.
Correct.
So there was only two games in the 4 o'clock. Phoenix versus Carolina, and of course the game of the day
Yeah, we'll
yesterday,
talk about
Denver
that.
and
We'll
Dallas.
talk about that in a little bit. But yeah,
Uh,
it was kind of crazy because it was the Chargers. I live here in San Diego. That's why I wanted to start off with it. Plus, I wouldn't know how many people would watch it on the East Coast because it's a West Coast game entirely, and people on the East Coast aren't going to be up until 2:30 in the morning and watch it. Now, the people who are sports people, like the ESPN workers and all those guys, I know they're up watching it because they have to. But I didn't really expect you to be up and watching that whole game until 2:30 in the morning, because the game ended, what, at 11:30 here, I think it was? Yeah.
Yeah, right
So it
around
was
that.
like
The
2:30 in
game,
the morning.
if you think about it, the game went a lot faster than I thought, because there was just a lot of uses of a lot of long time possessive plays, if you will. And Phillip Rivers, I mean, just when people want to start calling him elite again, he lays an egg yesterday.
Yeah. And
I
3
mean, to where
interceptions.
Pryor
Yeah.
came back from the concussion and good, and no Durham McFadden yesterday, and
It was pretty
Oakland.
crazy. You know, I
Yeah.
had such a bad day yesterday. I only won 6 games yesterday. Knocked me out of first place in our fantasy pick'em league. You know that, right?
Well,
Kind of
I'm
pisses me
stuck in
off, man.
seventh still, so I didn't move
Yeah,
up. I didn't move
no,
down.
you right there. You want to know? I moved all the way down to 5th place, man.
Mm.
You know, you know who's in first place? This is really hard to say. Schmedley. Can you believe that? That crackerhead is in first place now. Can you believe that? Renegade's in second. Gio, Renegade, and Dez are in second, tied with 46, and I got 45. I'm 2 behind Schmedley now. Can you believe that? At least one of
Yeah.
the hosts of Sports World Radio is winning the show, winning the league, right? You know?
Hey, I guess if Jeff Sean to
That's
win.
right. Exactly right. But it's only the 5th week. We got plenty of time to go. I can catch
Yeah.
him. I can catch him. I'm not worried about it. So there was an unbelievable amount of sports all weekend long, dude. You had the President's Cup going on at golf. You had MLB playoffs going on, and you had football going on. And not
Yeah.
only that, after we got off the show on Saturday night, you said to me you were going to go watch the Ohio State Northwestern game, correct?
Yeah, I did.
And
I watched it.
right, and I said I'm rooting for Northwestern, and I never, ever, ever, never, ever talk college football because I'm not a college football fan. And you turned around to me and says, yeah, the only reason why you're rooting for Northwestern is because of Greeny, right? Is that what you said to me?
Yeah. I said that.
Right, and
I
that
think
was
it
the
was on
only
air.
reason.
Yeah.
Right, that was the only reason. So I was up this morning when they were doing their show at 3 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock East Coast time, 3 o'clock my time. And it was funny because they were talking about it, and I was just laughing my ass off. I was like, and I would have loved to see Northwestern win that game. I didn't watch it. I went back and watched bits and pieces of it. I watched the whole thing at all, by far none. I didn't watch the end of it. So I found out that Northwestern lost by looking at my sports ticker. So
Northwestern, they
of it.
tell
Really
Ohio
good
State.
game, though, didn't they?
They had a big lead, but the resilience of Ohio State, and they came from behind. And
So
I mean, I'll give Northwestern their props. And what's so odd about it is that Mercer and Herbstreit did the commentary.
yeah, that was
Now
really good.
Merceberger, I didn't even notice until College Game Day early that day. He's a Northwestern alumni too. He, Wilborn, and Greeny, and Herbstreit's an Ohio State alumni himself.
Right.
So that was quite interesting there. But I mean, I'm sorry, Greeny.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, all you Northwestern folks, but Ohio State's still undefeated, still haven't lost since Urban Meyer became the head coach. Now, are they going to be anywhere near in the hunt for the national championship? I don't think so. I think Alabama and Oregon will most likely will be one in the table for the
Who
rest
was
of
the
their
Ohio
schedules.
State coach before Urban Meyer? It was Jim Tressel, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, and
Okay,
last
and
time
when
I
he
heard
got
from
fi-
Tressel, he was like a consultant for Indianapolis.
Yeah, when he got fired or quit or resigned or whatever it went down, who did I say was going to be the next head coach of Ohio State?
I believe you said Urban Meyer.
And that was the day after that he got hammered out, the other guy. I love that I made that pick. That is the beautiful thing about doing this show. And it's all down on tape and everything. I love it. And I have all my shows, so I'll always have that. Hey, there was so much sports going on. We haven't even topped the egg yet, but let's stay still in NFL football over there. Now, Denver game, did you watch that?
Yes, I did watch probably the first 2 quarters before then we lost because I looked at it and Denver had a big lead and in the halftime. And when I was on my way to Andrew's house, we ended up watching like the last few minutes of the game. And I'm like, wait a minute, 48-48. What the hell's going on around here? So we watched the game. Peyton Manning going to work as usual. And I handed to Tony Romo. I'm not a Tony Romo hater. I'm not a Cowboys hater. But they held their own on that particular game. And dare I say, Tony Romo had a better game than Peyton Manning yesterday. However, he did have the interception, which led to the game-winning field goal. And
Who can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Who lost the game for Dallas yesterday?
Well,
Who lost
because
the game for
because
Dallas
it's a
yesterday?
quarterback-driven league, I want to give. It's easy to blame Tony Romo.
There's
I
no
get
other
it,
person to blame but Tony Romo.
but he didn't give up 51 points.
Doesn't matter.
He didn't give up. The defense, they didn't even force Peyton Manning.
There was no defense in that game yesterday. When two teams score 99 points, there is no defense.
I mean, you're absolutely right, but the difference is Peyton Manning's team didn't even force the punt once, not one time.
Do you know how many times Denver has punted this year?
Not that much, but
If I remember correctly from what I heard last night, I believe it was 16 times. And that's it.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
what's the point of having a punter for that particular team when you have Welker and the Thomases, no relation, and Decker? I mean, they are just going to put a lot of points on the scoreboard. And
did you see what the heck is Jerry Jones talking on his cell phone?
I did hear his post-game thoughts. And
no, what? Did you see him when they showed him talking on his cell phone?
No.
It was a flip phone. It was an old-fashioned flip phone. Hey, Jerry, what the hell's the matter with you? Get within the 20th century, dude. Get a real phone, like an iPhone. What the hell's the matter with you? And how do you say that it wasn't Tony Romo's fault, Jerry Jones?
I am going to give him part of the he does own some accountable.
He gets the blame 100%. No doubt about it. Tony Romo knows it. That's typical Tony. That's typical Tony Romo right there.
Yes, it is. It is typical Tony, but if a defense can't force an offense to punt one time, your defense got to make a play. And you got one interception for Peyton Manning, but you got to do more than that.
Yeah, but you could say that for both sides.
I mean, if you can't force a team to punt one time, I mean, Monte Kiffin, people talk about how good of a defensive mind he is. Clearly, that wasn't the case yesterday. His son got fired from USC, and he may not be far from the unemployment line the way they played yesterday.
Both defensive coordinators better put their defensive caps back on their heads and start playing better, because that was not a defensive display whatsoever in that game.
Yeah, I mean, it was just
disgusting.
It was just, look, if you're into the old school.
Everybody's saying, look at the offense. Look at these guys. Well, yeah, you know why? Because the defense suck.
You know,
if there was any defense during that game, maybe there wouldn't have been 99 points scored.
You know, it's just Peyton Manning's going to make a lot of defenses look average. He's for 5 weeks now, he's made the defenses just look like they have no chance. And what's good about Peyton Manning is that he's always a step ahead. He looks at blitzes before it even comes. He knows what you're thinking. He knows what you're doing. He knows what your intent is. And he changed the play, and he just moving his hand signals and whatnot. And then all of a sudden, you got Pastor Wes Welker just